Catherine O'Hara is with us, and you are with us because of Second City, and thousands of Canadians know you, not only from the stage of the Fire Hall Theatre, but from the very successful Second City show on Global. And I'm really happy to be able to say that not only is the Second City show in syndication in the US and being seen in some 42 cities, but now Australia and England.
Yes.
And I wonder, has it made you rich? Does something like that
Not
make
yet.
the performer
They
rich?
say it will, but
They say it will?
it's sort of insurance, or it's like an investment, I guess, because it happens later. It's supposed to happen later, but we haven't seen the money. The producers say they haven't seen the money, so we're not going to for a while.
Will you tell us, let's establish how much is true. People love to write stories, and there have been many stories written about you lately in the media on Second City, that you were, first of all, a hat check girl, auditioned to be a waitress.
No, I was a waitress.
You were a waitress?
Yes, and I used to be sort of understudy waitress. I'd have to call in and see how many girls were there and if they needed me or not. And then I'd take a cab from Islington or TTC and come down and waitress. I'd be so excited because it was such a family thing there. It was really nice. It was as exciting to wait as it was to be in the show, I thought.
Obviously you had a lot of confidence because the first time you auditioned for the show, the proper company, you were not accepted, true?
No, that's true. I mean, no, I wasn't accepted. Yes, that's true. I know, I don't, they told me I wasn't ready, and I guess I wasn't, of course. I would have been fired, I think, if I'd gone in then. I was glad I went in the touring company because it really is such a better training for you, you know, and
Why?
to improvise, because it looks easy, and because you think you're silly, and, you know, you'll get up in there and do it, but it doesn't happen that easy. And the touring company is really good because it's once a week, and there's not the pressure, you know, and you're learning, you have good directors, and you can take it slowly, I think.
When you talk about improvisation and how the company works, and the fact that when you do improv sessions, they will be tape recorded.
Yes.
And very often the scripted material will come out of the tapes of the improv sessions.
Yes.
But you said that you couldn't understand how people could actually sit down at a typewriter.
I didn't say that.
You didn't?
I didn't say that exactly. No, I said it was a lot easier to improvise because you didn't have to sit down and write. And because at the theater at Second City, you always know what's working and what's not because you try it that night, and if the audience is laughing, you know it's working. But even then, it's not a true judgment of whether it'll work in a show, you know, in a 6-month run, because it was that night and because you did an hour-and-a-half show that they laughed at, and then you had their confidence. And, you know, they trust in you and they give to you when you're improvising. They know that it's silly and they know that it's on the spot and it's spontaneous, so they, you know, they're kind to you. But it's different putting it down on paper and trying it out for 6 months. And what I said was hard about the television show, writing for the television show, is that you sit down in a group and there's no audience, and you have to trust in yourself what you really think is funny because you're not going to see it for 3 months. You know, the shows that we did that were shown here in Toronto won't be shown until September. You know, and they won't be in the same order as we did them, and it won't be, you know, so you have to write material that'll last.
when people write or talk about a performing artist who has a special comedic ability, you very often examine, or one examines the beginnings of that person's life. And when I think of the O'Hara family and the fact that you were one of 7 children, one of the stories that caught me most, did you really, with your brothers and sisters, when your parents were out, cover yourselves with ketchup and lie scattered about the darkened living room floor?
Yes, we did that once in a while. My mother hates me for telling that story, too.
But weren't you afraid of shocking the life out of your parents when they came in?
No, because they're jokesters themselves. My mom and dad are very funny, really, you know. And I guess it's because we had 7 kids and everybody entertained each other. You know, it really was. I mean, a lot of times I didn't want to go out with friends or on a date. I would rather stay home because I knew it was happening at home, you know. So-and-so was coming over and everybody would be there. And it's, you know, I don't know, it's just a very silly family.
When you say that your mother was funny, and that when people ask you about the creation of characters, you say, I've done my mother,
of
not
course,
that she knows it. Is that
well,
fair?
sometimes you won't know it. She'll know it when I'll tell her. You know, she sees a character that I've done in the show, I'll tell her it's her. Or just parts of her, because parts of her are parts of me. You know, and each character's, you have to have a part of yourself, and it makes it more real. You know, even if it's a bad side of you or a really good side of you or just some silly aspect of yourself, you use it for the character, and I know I have a lot of my mother in me. So really I'm doing part of myself, but it's part of my mother too.
What about the lady who lived down the street who had no teeth and used 10 names?
It's true, they have aliases, those two. Her and her common-law husband. Yeah, she has no teeth, but yes, I was at a party and she was there, my brother's house. She used to live down the street from him in Cabbagetown. And I was at the house, and they came in, her and her husband. And another guy at the party said, "Do you know, Sharon, that Catherine does you? Do her for her, you know?" And I got real embarrassed because I thought, well, I'll do it at the show, you know, and in front of an audience, but I won't do it in front of her. It was awful. And I felt cruel, but it's a character, I guess. That's more an exaggeration of her.
You never did do it in front of her, though?
No, I really chickened out. I felt awful that somebody put me on the spot.
Did she show up and see the show?
Pardon?
Did she show up at the show?
No, they don't get out to theater. I don't think those two.
Do you think a lot of the new woman, I'm thinking specifically of a story that was written about women who are funny, and there was an examination that included you, people like Phyllis Diller, Joan Rivers, a lot of women who both write and perform comedy. And I wonder how much of the new woman, and I don't mean to be passé in terms of liberation, but just the new awareness of the woman and women writing, whether we think of a woman like Nancy Dowd writing the screenplay she did for the film Slapshot, or the fact that Joan Rivers is not only writing now, but writing and directing her own film. And suddenly there is a new woman within the world of show business who has much more authority and much more say than the woman used to have within the performing arts. How much of that has to do with the emergence of women like yourself in comedy?
Gosh, I don't know. Whenever I'm asked questions about women in general or women in theater, I don't know why it's happened, because, I mean, in business, in all business, women have got more into the higher parts of it, you know, and executives, and in theater. Gosh, I'm flustered. But in Second City, I guess because you write for yourself, that it's very easy to get what you want, or it's easier to say what you want to say because you are writing it yourself. But oh gosh, I don't know, really. I don't know, it just happens. It's like, I did that interview with the women in comedy, and she asked me about women doing this and women doing this, and I don't like to think of myself as a woman when I'm writing with a group of guys. You know, they always treat me as a woman. I like to be treated as a woman. I don't mean I want to forget I'm a woman, but it's like writing women's parts and doing women's lines and playing either the loose woman or the witch in a scene, you know, the typical women parts. It's like you just want to be sort of a person, or everybody should have the same chances for all different characters or all different scenes.
But Catherine, at the same time, can it be limited? Can you have an idea that you really want, and someone else will say, I don't think it's a good idea, and you can say, but I think it is for me. I want to do it. I mean, for example, the whole sketch with the truck driver who happens to be female, and her female companion, was that an idea that originated with you and matured within you, or was that a committee meeting?
That was a Second City scene from Chicago, if I must tell the truth.
No, but I think it's important.
It was originally done by two men, and it was our director, Joe Flaherty, at the time was directing, and he suggested that two women do it. And, I mean, he's a man, but he suggested that. And we made the scene our own. You know, the lines were different, and we added female things to it. And, of course, we are girls, so we played it as women. But I don't know. I think if I bring up an idea and somebody says that they don't think that's funny, then it's not funny, you know. Whether I'm a woman or I'm a man, if somebody says something isn't funny, then I'll back down. Sometimes I'll fight for something. You really believe something's funny, you'll fight for it and say, well, what if I did this with it, you know? If I change this much, or, you know, add this to it. And you try to make the other person laugh. But if somebody doesn't think it's funny, then it isn't funny. I mean, the people I work with, there's 8 of them, or now we're writing the television show, and there's 6 in the theater company. And if, you know, 5 out of 6 think it's funny, then I'll work on it. But if they all don't think it is, then I'll wonder about myself.
Okay.
And try to change it.
Break, okay? Be right back with Catherine O'Hara, Second City, and more. Catherine O'Hara of Second City is with us. I said something when we were beginning that I thought it was a privilege to be sitting beside the woman who had created one of the most endearingly annoying characters on Canadian television and on stage, and that was Chatty Cathy.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to pull her out and presume that you are Chatty Cathy and I am visiting you?
Oh, I suppose so. Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chatty Cathy. I'm Kathy, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Brian Linehan. Now, this is funny because he is an interviewer, but I'm going to interview him today. Brian, why are you here?
Because you asked me to be here.
That's true.
And I wanted to tell you the story of your life.
My life.
A little girl from Etobicoke, Islington actually, who made the big time.
Well, let's not talk about me there. You've been doing interviews for quite a while. Do you ever get nervous yourself
Yes.
talking to
Constantly.
stars or? You do?
Yes, I do.
All right, we'll be right back.
Tell me where Chatty Cathy came from. I mean, were you watching television one day and looking at someone and thinking, there's a character?
No, I don't know what happened. Peter Ackroyd was going to do René Lévesque. René Lévesque was really in the news, and we had suggested every night, and finally he said, well, maybe I should do it, we'll do an interview. And I didn't know too much about Lévesque at the time. I didn't know enough background information to ask him questions and keep things going in case the audience didn't ask them, because it was improvisational and you didn't know what was going to happen. So I thought if I developed a silly character, then we could have something going on stage without having to rely on what happened from the audience. And I don't know, I got out there and I thought, well, I'll be big. It used to be much bigger than it is now. It was just grotesque. So I started so cheap. But I don't know, I just wanted to do a silly character. Maybe it was in the mood I was in that night, it was improvisation.
Why Margaret Trudeau? Someone once wrote that you did the most devastatingly, I'm trying to remember what the other word was, devastatingly cruel or devastatingly simple Margaret Trudeau. If you were doing her now, with all the revelations we've had in the media about her life, what would you add about the character that you haven't already presented?
Well, I am doing her now on the show.
Have you added everything up to date?
No, because it is a blackout. It's very short. Last time we did it was a scene with Maureen McTiernan and Margaret Trudeau.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and at that time it was, I felt sorry for Margaret Trudeau, whereas now I think people generally don't feel sorry for her as they did before, just because there's been bad publicity on her, and she's opened her mouth about weird things, and it's easier to criticize her now than it was before.
Are you more critical now? Is your character...
Oh, yeah. It's mainly a drug thing, the blackout right now. Making her some sort of addict, or pusher. That's what the joke is now. She's pushing, but
How much of
it's
your
not
work
true.
is
I mean,
visual?
Visual?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess a lot of
No,
it is.
when you're sitting there, when we hear words come out of you, I don't just mean your face. I mean when you're on stage and the character you're creating is Chatty Cathy or Margaret Trudeau, or you say I've done my mother or I do the lady up the street. How much of it is actually lifting physical traits from the person as opposed to just the vocal quality?
Well, if it's a character I just made up on the spot, I probably won't know the physical, the physicality of that character, unless it is someone I'm impersonating. Then I will try to do that. I will try to do the way they move. But if it's someone I've just made up on the spot, then sometimes it'll just come to you with a voice. Or I really love doing hairdos. That's definitely what I'm into. I love doing crazy hairdos, and sometimes that'll make me feel a certain way, or make me move a certain way, or if I feel the age of the person, or like Chatty Cathy's loud, I just move very fast and sort of big, and clumsy.
And with Margaret Trudeau?
With Margaret Trudeau, sort of very loose, limp. It's not fair, but it's what I do.
Why do you say it's not fair?
I
Why
know.
do you do it?
Because I have the
Catherine,
side of
and
me
say
that
it's
feels
not
I
fair?
hurt people, but at the same time, I'll do anything for a laugh.
Are you afraid of hurting people
Um,
in creating
yeah, I
them?
wouldn't want to hurt her. I remember we heard that Maureen McTiernan was coming to the theater, and Andrea was very scared.
Andrea Martin.
Yes, Andrea Martin was scared because she did her as, pretty witchy, compared to Margaret Trudeau. But that's because we'd read in the paper that she wished she could meet Margaret to talk to her. Because Margaret wants to have a personality crisis, she doesn't have to have it in front of everyone in public, Like, I'd love to sit down and talk to her, and she's very condescending, so Andrea really exaggerated that part. And one night, I swore Margaret Trudeau was out there, and I was like, there was this girl that really looked like her, was dressed like her, and her hair, and she was sitting there, not looking at the stage, sort of, and I was very scared. Of course, it wasn't her, but it scared me to think that she would be there, And I heard that she was on some show, and somebody was interviewing her, and they told her that somebody in Toronto did her, and they weren't very nice to her or something in their caricature of her, and they said, what do you think of that? And I don't think that's very nice. But she was So I didn't want to meet her.
You trying to tell us you were up all night worrying that she said that wasn't very nice?
No, I added some worse things the next night.
When you talk about the company and you say that you're very leery, again I'm quoting, and you can tell us if you didn't say it, as you have been all along.
No, I am.
When you say that you're very leery about the idea of leaving Second City because everything that's happened to you within that company has been good, I wonder how quickly, and I'm not minimizing the fact that it's only, I think, since mid-73 that you've been involved with the company. Is there any danger of becoming complacent or comfortable in being a star within the resident company and thinking, why should I take a chance
Definitely
and go
spoils
off?
you. Oh, yes. I feel spoiled, and we just started writing for the television show again this week. And the last 13 shows that we wrote, I was writing during the day and doing the show at night. And I know that I divided my energies and didn't give totally to either the theater or the writing. And I am leaving the theater in a few weeks, but it still really scares me, and I want to come back. You know, I want to come back around September or October after we finish taping the show. But I do also want to see if I can write. I think I should challenge myself, you know, and see if I really concentrate on writing for the television show and scripting things, see if am able to do it.
What about acting beyond Second City, beyond Coming Up Rosie and the number of pilots you've done? What about, have you done any heavy dramatic acting?
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Surely you've been approached. Surely there have been things discussed with you.
No. I don't
You've
think
never
so.
had a producer or a director discuss the idea of a script with you?
No, some of the comedy parts I've done in pilots and things that turned out to be very dramatic. I was told I was a good actress, but I was trying to be funny.
Do you want to? Do you want to
I
do
don't
dramatic
know.
acting?
I think in theater arts, I only took theater arts in high school for 3 years, and I tried some dramatic things, and I liked it. I think I would like to try it, yes, because it is something new, and it's something to see if you can do. But I'm still learning about comedy, and I think there is a lot of, you know, acting in our scenes, too. You have to act them to get the laughs.
Yes.
You know, and you have to show all those parts of the character and relate to another person as a character. You know, have all those same things going, but in 4 minutes instead of an hour and a half of dramatic play. It's, you know, I don't know. I guess I'd like to try it, but I don't know. I'm silly about my ambitions or what I'm going to do, you know.
Okay, we'll take another break on that.
Okay.
Be right back with Catherine O'Hara and more.